If you want something you've never had, you must do something you've never done. The Renegade cohort for 2024 is open, but it won't be open for very long. Head to renegadeaccelerator.com and apply today.
The topic of this session is the future of technology is the future of humanity, right? I gave a talk, this very title, in 2015, and I was like, AI is here. Like, we gotta get ready, y'all. And I wasn't thinking about AI as it is now, necessarily. I was just thinking about what's the impact on humans, right? Humans, because technology is not good or bad, it's what we do with it, right? You think of Dell Technologies, they're progressing humanity forward through technology. So not everybody was super excited about that topic. They are now. So we're bringing it back in there. But what's happened is taken a while to land. And let's talk about landing. Something's landing now, right? Like, hold my beer, AI is here. Is that what it is? Yeah. That's not mine, that's her IP. So if you get the domain, you owe it for her. So here we are with experts, and I want to make sure that, again, we have some context because we have a very diverse subsection here of people living and breathing it in different ways. And when we say it, like AI, it is this thing, and it's like bubbling the ocean if we even try and pretend that we could spend a few minutes here and explain. But I think what's happening in a big way is that there are experts out there that intentionally, in some ways, the world's trying to confuse everybody and create fear, and there's a lot of reason behind that, underground, economically and stuff. But we either get way too big or we get way too niche, and it's like, can we level set and just do a little bit of one-on-one, but also get some tangible examples from different people who are using it in their day-to-day, right? So if there were a goal, maybe that would be you'd leave here being able to walk out the door and give a 2-minute TED Talk on AI. So that's your assignment. Can we talk real quick? So, Lindsey, can you share a little bit about Strongsuit and the incredible solution that you've created through AI, and a little bit about your background? Techstars darling, or unicorn in the making. Yeah. Darling's probably not appropriate anymore. I should have said that. But yes, it's incredible, and a lot of renegades use it and endorse it. So go for it.
Yeah. So I'm Lindsey Michaelides, founder and CEO of Strongsuit, and I'll talk about Strongsuit, but I will say, like, I love the title of this panel. And Jacqueline, I don't know what she meant, like, that was incredible. And I think I loved that humanity in what she just said. And I love that we're talking about AI and how AI can get us to a world where there is better humanity. I think there were some of us at dinner a couple of nights ago, and we were talking about this. And I'm going to butcher the quote, but there's the quote from Martin Luther King Jr. that is something to the effect of the moral arc of the universe is long and it bends towards justice. And I think it also bends towards humanity. And so there's a lot of fear right now about AI and what it's going to do. But I personally am an AI optimist, and I think that it will help us bend more into our humanity. And at Strongsuit, we say that our mission is to leverage the best of technology and human beings so that we can help our members be present for the joy of living. And so the way that we do that is we use artificial intelligence and machine learning and human beings to offer, in a sentence, a smart, scalable assistant for your personal life. So we use that technology to get to know a little bit about you, to be able to predict the needs of you and your family so that we can reduce that cognitive and mental load that is constantly running in the back of our heads that is preventing you from truly being present where it matters, whether that's on a stage, in a boardroom, in the backyard with your kids, helping your kids with homework, after dinner, like wherever it is, it doesn't matter. But there's that constant cognitive and mental load that is running through our heads, and like that stuff is highly predictable. And so the quick story of my background, I'm a business strategist by training, have an MBA, also studied decision sciences, helped a lot of really big businesses start new businesses and then exit those businesses. And the kind of common through line through all of those large businesses was like, 15 years ago, we were saying, like, we're using big data to fill in the blank. And so we would start businesses around like, how can you use data to offer a unique value proposition? And most of the time that was using that data to predict something. So Target was one of my big customers, and we would look at how can we use the data that Target is collecting to better predict what their customers' needs, when they're going to need them, what they should have on the shelf, et cetera, et cetera. Then moving into healthcare, how can you use healthcare data to be able to predict when someone might be at risk for diabetes and offer them an intervention at the exact right moment with the exact right intervention? And so through all of this work, I started to realize that all of this data allows you to make huge predictions and make life better for people. And wow, couldn't we predict the stuff that is keeping all of us up at night, and that is also making so many women and so many, underrepresented groups not rise to the top leadership levels in business. So that's what we do, why we do it, and we are going to make the world more human through AI. And we will help you figure out practically how to do it at the end of the session.
Oh, yeah. We got it. And with time to spare. Thank you. See, awesome. Okay, this is amazing. And we talked a lot about reinventing our relationship with time. AI is going to save us time. Who doesn't want more time, right? We can be obsessed with the opportunity or obsessed with the challenges. Georgia Sapounas, let's go to you next. So OG Renegade here. When you, first of all, background-wise, and if you're not going to mention the Olympics, I will. So just the double. So just get it in there because you usually don't. And then can you share a little bit about your role at the Cavs as the head of digital innovation in the NBA? Please.
Okay, thank you. I love that. Get it in there if you
don't, I will.
To. So sports has been a through line of my entire life. So I did spend 20 years as a figure skater and almost a decade on the Canadian national team. So there's...
And then worked at the Olympic Committee.
Yeah.
There's that.
And then activated 3 Olympic Games, Sochi 2014, Pyeongchang 2018 and Rio 2016 in the middle there. And so led digital there as well, kind of bringing the Olympics home to Canada. I'm Canadian and American, but that Canadian's been the through line until I just joined y'all stateside about 2 years ago.
Y'all.
I mean, there's the remix of My Family from Tennessee, so you just got to throw all these things in there,
Renegade it.
Root it.
So go ahead. Yeah, share. You've been testing so many cool things, even I know in conversations with Amber too, but anything that comes to mind that you feel to set up, love it, because we have such different swim lanes here, and that's what I love.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So back for Rio 2016, we started experimenting with technology of how we were measuring our sponsorships and measuring it through social, measuring it through video. And so there's all this technology that essentially is just data and machine learning and analyzing that we've been using for a while, right? And then now you're hearing more and more about AI. Back then, what it would do is, for example, watch our videos, pick out the very specific sponsor placement. So if an athlete was wearing it during a video, how long, how large, everything had a value. And then it would spit out kind of the media value of that, how the reach, everything else in terms of what was that value so that we could start charging more. So that's kind of rewind the clock. And then when you start fast forwarding with the NBA, most teams have this, but there's a technology we utilize that ingests the feeds of every single game. And within seconds, with every play, you have out of 5 stars, how it's ranked. You also have the player that performed the play, et cetera, et cetera. So we've been able to then utilize those feeds and get it into real life applications. So in the Cavs app, you'll go in and you'll say, that was a massive Jared Allen dunk that just happened. And you're seeing it right there because you selected, he's my favorite. So that's populating to the top. So there's very specific practical uses. But the one thing I wanted to share with this group just about AI in general, something I started doing was having AI teach me about AI. So if you go
meta, not as in meta, but bigger.
So if you go on ChatGPT and just Google it if you haven't already, go on, and then just say, hey, I'm starting to learn about artificial intelligence. What can you tell me about it? what are some practical uses? What can I use this for? How should I be? What's the best way to ask you questions? And the one thing that I found as well is, first of all, humans have trouble communicating with humans. So having, like, in terms of communicating with this technology, it's the same challenge, right? You're having new jobs pop up, like a prompt engineer is a brand new role in the industry, where they're just dealing with the linguistics between humans and all of the information that's put in. So essentially, just start saying, here's what I would like to get out of this. But before you even get them to tell you, say, what am I asking you to do? And then see if it's accurate, and then add more context, and what it can help you do in terms of like iterating ideas you have, presentations you have. Like, you can get that all done. I did it last week actually for a strategy presentation, but done in an hour. And that used to take me like at least a day, if not a week, to like perfect, right? So there's some.
I mean, that time, what you could do with that extra time just right there, we're talking about. But so thank you for sharing. And when it comes to mindset, I want to make sure we touch later on how the Cavs, and specifically leadership and ownership group, not too small, has instilled a innovative mindset with yes before no. So we'll get there. But next, thank you so much, G. Erin, hello.
Hi.
And so Erin, as we mentioned earlier, is at Epson. I'd love for you to introduce yourself, but if you don't mention some of the big stats, you know I will. But we got to talking about, and by the way, I got to tour their headquarters at Epson this week. That brand's incredible. If you haven't heard the brand story, talk about innovation and reinvention. Incredible. So, but when it comes to AI in your world, with your tech stack, like you're in a whole nother lane. We could have a whole conference just on each of these. Can you talk about first your role and a little bit of your background, and then how some of your high level thoughts?
Sure. Hi. So at Epson America, I oversee our demand generation framework as well as our go-to-market strategy. So many of you might be aware of what Epson is. It's their $99 printer that you have at home. That's our bread and butter. That's our consumer market. My focus is really on our commercial and industrial products. And we have printing presses that market for $1 million. We have robotics, micro devices, timing devices. Your Apple phones run on Epson technology behind the scenes. So my role is, how do we effectively create demand for those products and ultimately sell them through our channels, and the go-to-market strategies that really impact that. 7 years ago, I joined and realized that there was a really big gap in order to achieve some of those goals and how we were going to support our business over the long term. Our leadership had changed directions and was really focused on building our commercial and industrial businesses more so than our consumer spaces. And so really technology was at the core of that solution and how we were going to make that happen. Fast forward 7 years later, I have a tech stack of just under 20 different technologies that are working in confluence with one another in order to drive demand for our businesses. And AI is at the heart of many of those. And I can go into a lot of examples of how we're using those, but what I will say as it relates to not just driving the business forward and how we can create and generate demand for our products, but the time that we're able to give back to our employees as a result of utilizing AI in a multitude of ways has been just incredible. When we talk about where we're stretching ourselves, AI allows us to stretch ourselves this way. So your capacity that you talk about, Amy Jo, versus our bandwidth. And AI is really that connection point for us and how we're able to get there. And then we're able to deliver some amazing stats as well from a business perspective. So it's super exciting. It keeps getting more and more exciting every single day. Yeah.
Amazing,
Yeah.
Amazing. And as a reminder, she's the one that renegaded her way through and created this role for herself, right? You literally created this role. Now oversees 60% of the revenue digitally at Epson. That's a big job. That's a huge, huge responsibility. So, And many of us have invested in Circle AI. And Shannon, if you're still here, yes. And Dr. Meredith, we were talking about this last night, but that's healthcare. That's just another area. And I sit on the board of the company and get to learn and listen, but it is so complex and there are so many variables, right? So when you boil it down, and you think about how you're using it and testing it, like using AI to learn about AI, right? Or if you're sitting in the audience right now and you're thinking to yourself, I'm not quite sure how this is going to impact my business or me or what I should be doing or my industry, what should I know and what should I be thinking of? And know that you're not behind, because that's always the feeling. You're not, I promise. I thought everybody was behind in 2015, but you know what I mean? Like, I thought I was behind. Mark Andreessen says, it's going to take 1 to 3 years for us to see the actual impact of everything, and he knows a thing or two. So where would you advise, what would you say? What would be some of your top first tips? Try this, try this, try this.
Let me open up my notebook.
Ooh.
Started preparing for this because I know Renegade's like practical things. Because I want everyone to leave feeling empowered and not scared about how you can use AI and how you can leave here today and take very practical steps. So first, some reading materials to give you like the super high level, not like getting into the tech. There's 2 books, same authors. The first one is Prediction Machines. The second one is Power and Predictions. Power and Predictions came out last year. They're excellent. They will kind of orient you to the vastness of this opportunity and kind of the inflection point that we are in society right now. So I would Power and Predictions.
You could probably throw this in.
Power, Predictions. The first one is Prediction Machines. The second one, the follow-up was Power and Predictions. So I would read those. Then I would say, when I think about, so at Strongsuit, we are building our own AI, building our own models, training our own models. Don't even think about that. Like, most of you aren't going to do that. And like, you wouldn't want to do that. It's going to be a waste of your time.
Not your job.
Yeah. But there's plenty of ways that you can still integrate AI into what you're doing. So if I think about like how we started and how I would start to apply it to either my job as a corporate leader, and they're going to have much better advice than I will on that right now, or how I could apply it to my business, I would say the first thing, there's an old adage that many people probably know where they say, like, if you find yourself doing something in your business a second time, document it. And then if you find yourself doing it we'll say 10th time, fill in the blank, then automate it. So you can think about these things as, what are the workflows that you do in your daily life? And what are the ones that you need to first document so that if you needed to, if you got called onto the biggest stage with Amy Jo and you can't do the standard things you need to do at work that day, you can just hand off the documentation to somebody else and they can do it for you. Then, next step, how do you take those same workflows and either automate them end to end or begin to automate very specific aspects of those workflows? So you might start with like automating one step of a 10-step workflow. Some tools to investigate that can help you with that. My absolute favorite one is Zapier. If people aren't familiar with Zapier, super easy to use, absolutely love it. You can do super powerful things for like $40 a month. Another one, If This, Then That. Another great one, super cheap. There's also one on your Apple phone. I'll send it out on the WhatsApp. That's actually pretty cool that you can kind of futz around with. Automate.io is another one that I love. They were recently bought by Notion. To go back to documentation, our entire operating system for Strongsuit that our team uses, so not actually like our AI, but the place where we document everything is Notion. Notion and Coda are 2 great tools. They have a lot of native AI built into them. So to give you a really practical example of this, every week our engineering team is, shipping features. The engineers are responsible for writing the email that goes to our members that says, hey, here's the new features that are being shipped out this week. Engineers, typically not the best writers. So they write that communication. It used to then go to our head of marketing who would review it, who would then send it to me, and then it would get sent out. Now the engineers write it, and Notion's AI brushes it up and makes it sound better, and then it just goes directly out, and no one else has to read it to make sure that it sounds good. So those are just some like really little tips. Then as you think about, as you're automating those workflows, then you can think about, if you think about AI and how you kind of take that to the next level. If you think about an automated workflow, there are aspects of workflows that you're going to feel like you can't automate, because this is when you layer in your expertise to a workflow. So if you start thinking about, I'm forgetting the wonderful woman from Raymond James who was up here with you yesterday, Lisa. So in some of Lisa's work and what she was talking about, Lisa, in her mind, because of her years of expertise, she knows if I come to her and say, I need X dollars of capital for my business, here's where we are, what are some of my options? She mentioned decision trees. Decision trees are like key to AI. So you list out your decision tree. Okay, Lindsey, you need some capital. Here are your different options. Then you start to layer in the expertise, which you can think of those as like if-then statements. If this, then we're going to go down this path of the decision tree. If that, then we're going to go down this path. If this one, then we're going to go down this path. Maybe there's 4 different paths on this decision tree. And Lisa's layering in her expertise that help us choose which path to go down. That is AI. It is creating those decision trees, taking the expertise that you have in your brain, so it fits in well with the next panel about IP, because like, what is the expertise that you know that typically somebody's just going to talk to you, and then you're going to say, oh, this is, okay, I hear X, Y, and Z from you, so therefore you're going to do this. You're taking that same logic and you are mapping it out in a decision tree, so then you can automate that. And so you can kind of see how you break this down, and then over time, you can really begin to kind of step yourself out of some of that day-to-day grind. And then as you continue to get more advanced and you can train those models, that's when you're going to need to hire some engineers. That's when you can actually start to get much more predictive. And you can take those logic models and train them to take the outputs to then make them even smarter over time, which is a lot of what Georgia was talking about.
Renegades. The next Renegade cohort is open for enrollment, but it will not be open for very long. Head to renegadeaccelerator.com. This is our 11th cohort. We are so excited because we have women all over the world in every single industry, in every sector, female leaders, executives, founders, you name it. The amount of leverage and the amount of intellectual capital being exchanged is pretty incredible. Head to renegadeaccelerator.com to apply, and we'll explore together to see if this is a good fit for you. You might have been tracking over the last couple of years, and a lot of things have changed and developed within Renegade. We've grown. What hasn't changed is our fierce commitment to each other's goals. We still have a strong foundation in helping you build your personal brand online and offline, so you can get more out of it, so you can get more out of your days, because getting up earlier and earlier is not a strategy. However, we've added to that, for example, public speaking is a huge way to leverage your personal brand and thought leadership. Not only do we focus on helping you become a better public speaker, but also the business side of public speaking, where you get paid and you get to increase your fee and those opportunities to get on bigger stages. That's what we're all about. Last year alone, we had Renegades take hundreds of stages, and we're so proud of them. In addition, we are getting women seats on cap tables as investors, board seats, and those spots on stages, which really increases your voice of authority as well as your ability to create your own wealth. We are educating about investment, providing access to deal flow that you typically wouldn't have, and opportunities to invest through Renegade Global Ventures. So we're democratizing the process and the access to deal flow, but also democratizing the flow of capital. It's so exciting. This has all become possible because the amount of leverage and power within this container at Renegade. We also have a Renegade multifamily office, which you have access to in partnership with Raymond James. Incredible benefits there. And in addition, you have access to each other, meaning this is not one to many or one to one, it's many to many, exponential opportunity for growth and leverage, introductions, new business, opportunities, and feedback, experience. Those are all part of what we offer at Renegade. So head to renegadeaccelerator.com and check out if you feel like it's for you. We'd love for you to apply and touch base with you soon.
What AI can't do, though, the future of technology is the future of humanity. So that was brilliant. And you could literally go do those steps and then give your TED Talk outside, right? Thank you, thank you, thank you. What it can't do is what Nicole Rex just did on stage, right? Storytelling, human connections. Humans connect with humans, not logos. So what's brilliant about this is it's saving us time to get into our zone of, more capacity. And like Steve Jobs always said, our superpower is storytelling. Yes. The person that's going to win is the person that tells the best story usually, right? So we get as humans to go do what we're better at because they're better. These machines, they're a lot better than us.
Better. And so to give you a very concrete example of this, I did a lot of work in this space, in the healthcare space. And there is overwhelming evidence that says that oncologists, when treating cancer, data can tell them the best course of treatment. And so tons and tons of studies to say, okay, you're the oncologist, what is the course of treatment that you want to do? Now let's run the data model. And they've figured this out. The data model always figures out the best course of treatment. What do we hear from oncologists about where they want to spend more time? Not designing courses of treatment, they want to be bedside with their patients. So if we know that the data can predict the better course of treatment, and the oncologists want to spend more time with their patients, and we hear from patients that they want more time with their physician face to face, like why are we not using the data models to predict the course of treatment? The physician can then just rubber stamp it, and then that frees up their time to actually connect human to human with those patients who are going through just, the most epic journey of their lives and need that expertise and support of their physician.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. That was masterclass. Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we can send some more resources around too about this. This is not the end of this conversation for sure. Georgia, thoughts? What's coming to mind? What do you think everyone needs to know?
So I actually also wrote some key notes that I wanted to make sure, like,
I
from
was
a very practical perspective.
Notes of you talking.
Nerds are on the AI panel.
I know. I was going to take notes of you talking, and then I thought everybody's going to think I'm texting my mom, but I'm not. Okay.
I like that it was your mom
as always, my mom.
So the one thing I would say, because I kind of led you off of, had to ChatGPT learn about AI by asking it about AI. The one thing I would say as well is pretend that you're talking to like a very naive, like eager intern, right?
That's a great example.
And just like you want to give all the context. And so I led with this before, but start saying, okay, you could say, here's my brand voice. You could say, here's the problem I'm looking to solve, or here is what I want your help with. I'd like you to tell me X, but before you do, and then same thing, go through that journey. What am I asking you to do? Add more context, more context, more context. In your one-on-ones with somebody that's new, it's going to take time and time and time to give them all the information until they start to be like, oh yeah, I get it. It's the same deal. So then essentially, it's going to be the output that you get is going to be as good as the context and the information and everything that you're giving it. So continue to prompt it, like practice different prompts. There's even guides online where you could go and say, like, what are the best AI prompts for insert whatever your area of business is. And then as you start refining that, what you're going to get back is going to just get better and better and better. Some very specific practical use cases from a presentation perspective. Some people are like, oh God, I'm awful at them. I tested Beautiful AI. It has a long way to go, beautiful.ai, but it will give you like very specific templates so quickly to do that. If you're sending out emails on a regular basis and need like catchy subject lines, like that's another specific thing. Just utilize AI for that. Web pages as well. The vendor we utilize in our tech stack that has somebody on our team essentially build pages. They're building out an AI tool to where you just put in the context of, this is the type of page that I want a sales page, here's our brand colors, here's our fonts, everything else. And then it like spits out 3 options and you just choose and kind of add the content in.
Add one thing to that.
Please.
I love that. Also be careful. Don't put anything in there that you don't want anyone else to have access to. So people are doing things like they're dumping their company's bank statement in and then saying like, can you give me an overview of our financials for last month? Now, if somebody else wants to go in and say, what was Strongsuit's revenue last month? Like that's in there if you're using ChatGPT. Yeah. So just be careful.
Lots of corporate regulation, and I'm sure I was looking for Allison, who's at. So absolutely,
that's not what you're talking. That's not what Georgia's talking about. Yeah. But I just want to make sure that if you're putting together a presentation, don't put any of that proprietary information you want public.
Right. Logic matters.
Yeah. And then 3 other key elements. 1, utilize it to consume like complex data. So you could, if it's a book you want to read or if it's whatever, just ask it so that you in a minute can get what you might have consumed in hours. So that's another way to just like continue to expand your knowledge base quickly. Also, if you're playing or dating or flirting with an idea or a business or whatnot, utilize AI to help you flesh out your idea more. So ask it a question, ask it to like dive in more about it, and it can kind of get you to a place where you're like, oh, I didn't think about that aspect of it. So these massive brainstorms you might have done within your organizations, you can condense that time down to minutes. And then lastly, what's the one I wanted to make sure? Oh, overcoming inertia. I feel like we get stuck in our day-to-day, and it's one of the things that blocks entrepreneurs is that you just didn't keep going long enough. And so one of the things is that momentum, that inertia in your business. You can ask AI to say, okay, what are my next steps? And then lay that out. And that goes back to Dr. Melanie yesterday, but the clear goals to have that listed out for your day and then do those things.
Awesome. I love these perspectives. Erin, thoughts?
I mean, my perspectives are going to be almost a little bit different coming on the corporate side and utilizing AI technology in that capacity. I think a few pieces of advice would be, don't get distracted by the shiny object. There's so much out there. I mean, ChatGPT is one example of, I think, just a topic that's kind of taking this trend by storm, but there's a lot of ways that you can utilize AI. I think it's about being super clear on what the problem is that you're trying to solve. There's going to be a piece of technology that can help you solve it. It's just being super clear on what you need to achieve and the gaps that you have, and how to utilize various technologies together. And I think one of the things that you guys just brought up was ethics around AI, and especially ChatGPT. On the corporate side, my responsibility is being incredibly discerning over the types of technologies that we use, how that impacts data around our customers, what we can share, what we can't share, what we can augment in terms of a customer profile. There's a lot of laws and regulations in place around how you can leverage data that's coming in or through AI. Also, if you employ vendors that offer an AI solution, but also use AI to create their AI solution, there's layers that I think you can get lost in. And so kind of pull yourself up out of that, understand the problems that you're trying to solve, and really be clear about what technologies that you want to utilize to help you get there. So yeah, I think my brain is always kind of with the lens of, am I protecting the customers at all costs as well? and looking at a lot of the regulations behind, which is there's a lot kind of circulating in that space right now, and a lot that's unregulated. But I think that at the core, it's really beautiful to see so many innovations that can help us get back to, I think, what's critical is that time component. And a couple of examples of how we're utilizing some of this within Epson. We have a 250-person sales team. At the end of the day, if you want to boil my job down to one thing, it's delivering quality opportunities for those salespeople. They've got to close deals, and we've got revenue goals to hit just at the core. So how can I deliver that to them in a more effective and efficient way? And it's about understanding where your customers are at, understanding how they want to engage with your brand, and how that's changing over time. One piece that we're using today is around, we're utilizing predictive analytics to tell us exactly what customers are in market for our products at that moment. Are they on our.com? Are they in a competitor's.com? What search terms are they looking for? Are they looking for a product that we offer or a solution? And how can I expedite that potential opportunity in my sales team? I use a piece of technology to get us there. That saves that salesperson an incredible amount of time from hunting and cold calling and looking for customers that are really not in market. I've just saved them potentially weeks to months identifying an opportunity. How they get that time back and where they spend it is, I think, what we're all wanting to do, right? We're all trying to get back to those moments where we're doing things with purpose. And we're finding joy in what we do. And by eliminating a lot of that through AI and technologies that are out there, I think that's how we collectively build more value in our communities and within our brands. So, yeah.
One of the themes here, and I look at how early you had to have been on the scene in order to see the opportunity that you see and now be where you are, is curiosity and seeing a problem that you didn't know how to solve. You're not an engineer, but you don't need to be, right? And so don't get so intimidated and overwhelmed by it is crazy complex, but we're human. Nobody, even JC, who's the founder of Circle AI, one of the original, before it was called that, helped build, things that we have in our phones right now. He even says, there's so much still yet to be seen and done, right? There are a lot of different ways this can go. So I have a sticky note on my desk, and it's been there for at least 6 months, that says, stay curious, AI. Just keep listening, keep learning, use it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have been listening loudly, AI, IP, investing, big hot spots that our community wants more of. And so we will definitely be delivering, and this thought leadership is gold. You have access to some incredible minds, so let's make sure that we use them. I'm looking at Britt trying to read her mind. I don't know if we have Q&A. AI, I'd be like,
you want to do a little Q&A?
Yes, let's do some Q&A. Yeah. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And and real quick, Anna, and then we got Tati. We'll go quick, kind of rapid fire-ish.
Quick question. Being a second language, grammar, AI has been life-changing, sending emails and doing presentations. So I love it. And also in branding, I love it. It's helped me create SEO blog posts, which I didn't know I could create. It's helped me create brand stories. It's helped me create avatars for a brand. But then I'm thinking, am I cheating? So is using ChatGPT a little bit cheating? Because yes, I'm giving it the information. I'm saying, this is the brand I want to build. This is the consumer profile, but it's feeding me that really good marketing stuff.
Hell no, you're not cheating. You're smart.
I need confirmation and reassurance.
Go ahead.
From the pros.
You always had. By the way, Anna, one of her clients just won a big award in New York City last night, right? Beauty brand. And maybe it was a ChatGPT one. I'm just kidding. How would you? I think we're all going like this, but any quick thoughts on? Am I the answer?
No.
Yeah. No.
Period. Absolutely not. You're always going to add your own to it. what's that, Dom? What were you saying? Nothing new is under the something. Nothing new under the sun. The other day you had a saying. Two eyes to plagiarize. No, you're not. And how wise to use it as your second language. Like, that's time saving. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Super insightful. I learned a lot. I'm particularly excited about, in my area, with the customer experience and operational excellence, how we can really utilize, especially as thinking about retail and in sales, where it's far behind in terms of technology. So, but my question, which your comment to Georgia had been thinking about this quite a bit, is feeding the information that then gets used. Don't feed it information that you don't want used out there. But then the thought in the many articles I have read around folks out there purposely feeding different types of information into this network, which then pulls, which you're now trusting to feed you the correct information. And when you go there, you will not necessarily, because it is it's going to pull together the different things that has been fed. So what are your thoughts on that?
I can say how we're thinking about it. So we don't use ChatGPT, and we had an opportunity to start working with them like 24 months ago. And they wouldn't let us have a closed system because it was very important to us that any information that our members give us does not go into OpenAI's models. And they weren't open to that sort of relationship, so we did not continue down that path. So for us, everything we do is a closed system. Now, that is not, I agree exactly with what Erin was saying too, where for everyone else, when you're thinking about not building a product that has AI at its core, but integrating products like off-the-shelf products that meet your specific use case need, they're all out there. And I would just say, look at them to see how they individually are addressing these things, because most of them, not all of them right now, there's a whole bunch of them that are just based off of OpenAI. And so now OpenAI is allowing some of their partners to have closed loop systems, so they can leverage their models without any data that you provide to this other party going into OpenAI's models. So just like kind of double check who you're working with and what they are doing. I believe very strongly in closed models because it's kind of like social media, like it's out there. It's in the ether forever now. And so I think as long as you're doing business with partners that you trust and that are really transparent, there's a lot of competitors coming out now to ChatGPT. One that I'm particularly excited about is called Claude, and it's through Anthropic. They're doing some very cool stuff. It's a bunch of folks who left OpenAI because they felt very strongly about some of these topics. So there's people out there. I would say I'm with you. You have to be careful and be really conscientious. Like, don't let that scare you. Look for the point solution that serves your need, but make sure that you understand how their tech stack is built and where your data is going.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great questions. Great questions. Just a little plug for Strongsuit for a second. So I don't know if Whitney's in here, but we were talking about how when back to school comes in, all of the birthday parties, it's like, we need a birthday gift for everything. And she's so smart. She has a stock of something that she orders in bulk, and then it's already packaged or already gift wrapped. And I was talking to her about Strongsuit, and I was like, yes, because why would you do it last minute? Like, you could just go get it all and then pull one like assembly line. Like, yep, I'm going to a birthday party. We got one for every age. But like when we talk about time and capacity, and we're smart individuals, like you're in this room because you're very, very, very capable, right? Our nephews, our whatever, like relatives' birthdays, they all happen on the same day of every year. Like, this is not changing, right? Just that simple thing. But then we go, even if it's Amazon, okay, cognitive load, I have to go order Amazon. Like, just having something, your child was in swim lessons last year. Do you need a new life jacket or whatever? Like, what you're building is incredibly powerful. That's partially what Strongsuit's doing, right? It's really allowing us to live in our more capacity. And
Totally.
so exciting. Thank you. And so I hope everybody learns more about Strongsuit. This matters. Imagine what you could do with that extra hour or extra, day. So
I want to put together we work with a lot of big employers like the Googles, the Bloombergs to support their talent because they want their leaders to have more capacity. That's important to them, that their leaders have more capacity. So I was talking to some folks. I know I want to put together a little maybe we'll treat Renegade like an employer and give some preferred pricing for volume discounts and stuff.
amazing. Amazing. I love it. Thank you. But any other burning questions or anything you might add, Allison, that's sitting in the audience that has some background on, and we have Michelle here too. As you're listening, given your role, having spent time at Meta in a role of regulation around VR and AR, anything that you feel everyone should just kind of be thinking about? I know you're not mic'd, but I know that.
I will say on this topic, I think that there's a lot of exciting applications of these technologies, but I think a lot of people are scared too. And as companies and as we think about how to integrate these technologies into our businesses, we want to talk to people about what their fears are and make sure that we integrate the technologies in a way that keeps people's professional identities secure. And that'll be key to sort of integrating it in a way that is makes people feel safe in their roles.
It's amazing. Yes, it's very true. I was looking for Nisha because I feel like she's going to keep us safe and build the right bridges and stuff for policy. And God, I don't know where you are, Nisha, but you'll save us, right? Oh, gosh, you're right here. I'm like, where are you? I think yesterday you were. Can you just add that to your list, please? Keep it safe. Short list. Go ahead, Michelle.
This is
Thank you, Allison.
a quick suggestion / ask. As we're all working with different AI tools, I think it would be really, really helpful if we were to have some sort of tech stack table that we could all access of, okay, so you have Claude, you have OpenAI. How would you use those? Where do you go to get extra prompts? Or there's this other tool that you can use for image creation or PowerPoint creation. It would just probably save us all a lot of time if we could. And maybe this is a question that we asked ChatGPT to build for us, but just having that table, that tech stack.
Absolutely. Do you want to build it? Yes.
Let's start with.
Do we have let's start with more discussion and conversation and what would be helpful because we can figure this out. It's a great suggestion. I think we have a Slack. Do we have an AI Slack channel?
No, but we do have. We're creating a resource guide. She's taking it right now to create a resource guide, and we can figure out a way to make it more queryable and so for folks to be able to find what they're looking for because we have. This is great. I mean, I've taken notes, and I'll help you guys to get all these resources in one place. And throughout this whole weekend or this week, we've gotten book recommendations, and so getting these all in one place and other tools too, tech stack.
And a lot of it's sharing your experience too, not just the tool, but I think Michelle too. Thank you for bringing that up because sending a doc out, it's great, but then how did you use it? What beautifully AI, is that what you said? Beautiful AI. How is it working? How's it not working? Don't use ChatGPT to study for the Series 65. I will tell you that right now. Not good. However, something else might be great. A lot of recommendation that would have taken you 30 minutes or an hour might be now 5. So it's the conversation around it too, not just sharing links. I think that's where the commitment and the curiosity and time comes in. It's worth the time.
Can I share a story to maybe close this out and make everybody feel a little bit more confident to go play? To your point about your Post-it note around curiosity. So when I started Strongsuit, I didn't know what I was doing. I don't have an engineering background. I taught myself how to write Python. I learned if anybody who knows how to write macros in Excel, if you're old like me, you can write a pretty rough API. And so that's how I got started. And I built our initial MVP myself, just like hacking shit together like that. And I went out to find a mentor who was deep in technology, and his name is Quinn Kramer. He's incredible. He's the CEO of Daily.co. He was the guy that created all of that Minority Report, like stuff. He's incredible. And I kept calling my MVP our Frankenstein. And finally, Quinn was like, I am so sick of hearing you talk about Frankenstein. Like, show me your tech stack. Like, what is in your tech stack? And I was like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I'm too embarrassed. Like, you're this like brilliant guy. And like, I don't want to. And he was like, what is in your tech stack? And so I like walked him through my tech stack, and he was like, shut up about Frankenstein. Like, this is a legitimate tech stack. You have a legitimate product in a legitimate company. You are building the future. Like, stop talking about it like you're not building this. Like, you are building, you have done it. This is like the fact that you've done this, you don't have an engineering background is incredible. And so then he invited me to a meeting, and I came in, it was all dudes. And he said, this is Lindsey. She's a founder friend of mine. She's a brilliant technologist. She's working in the AI space. And I just like sat down and was like, whew, okay. But now in reflection, like I waited for them to invite me to the table. Like, I waited for them to invite me to the table. And like, fortunately, Quinn is an incredible mentor, an incredible person, and like regularly slaps me over the head. But like, just be curious. Everyone here is so curious and smart. Just let your curiosity and your intelligence and your bravery guide you, and don't wait for somebody to invite you to the table.
Go-to story. I was like, can you get centered? We're going to move off stage. That was an awesome go-to story. I thought you said he introduced you as the founder of Frankenstein, not a founder, a friend of mine. And I was like, that's not very kind. That's all. It's so true, right? Tony Hsieh, CEO of Zappos, he said, if you could have seen that first thing that I put out into the world, the wheels were falling off. It's so ugly. It was built in DOS, sold to Amazon for a couple $2 billion, right? All right, if you hear of anyone that needs a speaker on AI, an expert in the industry on any of these areas, please think of your fellow Renegade friends and refer them, because we need more women talking about this. This space is gonna get more money, more attention. We have to have more women on stages talking about AI. Please, 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 okay? Thank you. Thanks, everyone.